I'm Martin Bald. I'm the Community Manager at Wallaroo.ai. In this video, we'll go through an example of model validation called shadow deployment. There's two methods in which you can validate models in production. One is A/B testing, and this one is shadow deploy. We do have a video on A/B testing, so I encourage you to go and check that one out as well. And so you can get a good example of those two perspectives. The other thing that you can do as part of your learning journey is you can go through this tutorial yourself. This tutorial, along with the others, are available on our repo on GitHub. And you can also download our community edition, which is free. And the other benefit to this is that it's unlimited license, so it never expires. And you can deploy into your Azure or AWS or GCP subscription and get some hands-on skilling for learning how to deploy models to production, to do validation, testing, observability, monitoring, etc., as part of that MLOps journey. So in this video, we'll go through the shadow deployment. Now, there's two ways of approaching this. As I mentioned, there's A/B testing and shadow deployment. The difference between the two is that with A/B testing, you run you split your data inference. In our case, in the video that you'll see, we ran 2/3 into the control champion model and then 1/3 into the challenger model. And then we analyzed the output there for accuracy. And then we were able to make a decision on keeping the current model or switching, hot swapping out the challenger model. The shadow deployment, the difference is that this testing we'll do 3 models. So we have our champion model, we have 2 other test models, and we will run the same data through all 3 of them. So there won't be any splitting of the data. The full data set will run through each of the 3 models. So let's get ourselves up and running here, and we'll tee up our environment. And we'll just connect to Wallaroo, and we'll set up our instances. And so you can see here, these are our 3 different models that we'll be testing. We have our champion, which is the one in production, and then the 2 other challenger models. So let's get our environment teed up. We can see here that right now we're not deployed, which is fine. And now we're going to upload our models into the workspace that we created. And so we'll now create that shadow deployment, and we'll deploy this pipeline into production. So this is going to take about 45 seconds. If you have been through an ML production process, you'll appreciate that 45 seconds is a fraction of the time that it typically takes to deploy your production environment. It could take hours or days in some cases, depending on the complexity of your infrastructure. And so 45 seconds is pretty slick. And we can see now that our pipeline, our model is deployed. We can also validate this in the UI by going into our workspace. We can see that our fraud champion model and also the 2 challenger models have been provisioned as well. And we have an active pipeline running also. So the next step for us is to run a test inference. And so we'll just make sure that as we infer data through this, that we're getting the right outputs that we want to. So we can see here that our champion model is there and running, and we can also see that our 2 challenger models are present, and they're also receiving the same data as well. Now, with the inferencing complete here, and what we will want to do then to look at the results and output is to analyze those logs. And so we can do this in 3 different methods. We can do it from a timestamp perspective. So we can see here that the three models have exactly the same timestamp. And the reason for that is, as I mentioned, like the same data is inferencing through each of the three models at the same time. And so you can see here the next three and so on. The other view opportunity and method for us is to display them by the specific model. And so this is the output that we would get from that approach as well. And we can also view our deployed pipeline logs by the methods of the inputs. And so we can see here we have our input, we have our three challenger models. They are timestamped the same, second input, third input as well. And from this, then we can make a decision. Are our models performing in production the way it's supposed to? Or do we need to replace that? Do the other challenger models perform better? And so that's it. It's really straightforward for us to create our workspace, provision, upload our models, create that pipeline, and then run that inferencing through the pipeline and to check those models and the accuracy of them and the performance as well. Finally, we'll go through and undeploy. It's very similar to the deployment, where again, it takes a fraction of the time to run through. So I hope you enjoyed this video. As I mentioned, you can have a look at this particular tutorial or a number of others, and you can also try these for yourself using our community edition. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.